Hey, so I'm glad you could come over.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, want to watch a Disney Pixar movie?
Oh yeah, sure, go ahead and pick one.
Great. How about this one?
Brave?
Well, what's wrong with Brave?
Have you actually even seen it before? It's so terrible. Pixar standards are much higher. If a Pixar movie isn't flawless, then clearly it's absolute garbage. I can't believe you think Merida is your favorite Disney princess. You're so crazy. Have you actually looked at her? She's so rude, self-centered. She pushes everyone away who loves her, and she's like never learns anything throughout the entire course of the movie. She never rectifies what she did wrong.
Oh, then who's your favorite Disney princess?
Oh, it's Ariel.
Get out.
I am out of sorts at the moment, but you shall have your answer.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's your BFF Snowy Oreo 663 here, right now. Brave, the only Pixar princess movie and the only Disney princess movie to win Best Animated Feature. Despite these awesome points to the film, the most common thing you'll hear about this movie is how crap it is. I never really understood the hate, to be honest, since this is actually one of my favorites. I guess I'll just have to do the whole synopsis and ranking part to tell you why I like it. But I do know that some of you will think of Merida the same way I think of Ariel, so let's just all be nice to each other in the comments, okay? Let's get into it. We open with some beautiful shots of Scotland and sweet music playing in the background. This little girl named Merida is playing hide and seek with her mother, the queen named Eleanor. When Merida's father, the king named Fergus, shows up, he presents his daughter with a birthday gift, a bow and arrow. Eleanor isn't super thrilled about her daughter's gift. Merida is obviously struggling with the weapon, and ends up missing a shot, sending the arrow deep into the woods. When looking for it, she spots a small blue creature floating, something she calls a wisp. She shares her discovery with her mother, who tells her that wisps can lead you to your fate. When walking away, a large bear appears, causing the queen and princess to flee. The bear is Mordu, somewhat of a legendary beast. Fergus challenges the monster, and with one bite, we cut to black. Many years later, Merida gives us a narration as she explains about destiny and fate. She tells how her father lost his leg to the bear, how she became a sister to triplet brothers, and how her relationship with her mother has turned sour over the years. Being the princess, Eleanor expects perfection from her daughter, forcing her to partake in activities that are boring, restricting her from having fun, and preparing her for something she doesn't want. Thankfully, there are some days when Merida is allowed to be free, like today. Hopping on her horse, Angus, she rides off into the woods with her bow, while a background song called Touch the Sky plays. Merida is very skilled in archery, able to hit many targets while on horseback. After climbing a ways to drink from a waterfall, she returns home, sneaking a tray of treats into the dining room. Okay, I'm honestly in love with Merida's relationship with her father. Yeah, he's a bit of a bumbling idiot again, but he's very playful with his kids and sympathetic towards them. He congratulates Merida on her waterfall escapade, and even her brothers seem impressed. Eleanor, on the other hand, reminds Merida not to put her bow on the table.
It's just my bow.
I love Merida's accent, by the way. This, very busty servant named Maudie brings Eleanor some letters while Merida slips her brothers the sweets under the table. Eleanor gets serious, sending the boys away to talk to Merida in private. She tells her daughter that the 3 clans of the kingdom are presenting their sons for her betrothal. Merida understandably isn't really interested in this plan and storms out. In her room, Eleanor tells Merida an ancient legend about a kingdom using chess pieces, saying how 4 brothers were once tasked with ruling their father's kingdom. The oldest decided to be a dick and cause the kingdom to f***ing die.
That's a nice story. It's not just a story, Merida. Legends are lessons. They ring with truth.
Sometime later, Eleanor is working on a tapestry of her family while being stressed about her daughter's behavior. And this leads to probably my favorite scene in the movie. It begins with Eleanor stating the reasons why she does what she does, using her husband as a stand-in for Merida. It then cuts to Merida practicing her own talk to her mother, using more childish ways of talking. The two go on for a while, stating various reasons as to why they want what they want. They both finish their spiel, realizing that if they could just get the other to listen, they might see their way. The lords of the clans show up, all competing to get to the castle first. We've got Clan MacGuffin, Clan Dingwald, and Clan Macintosh. Don't worry about remembering them, they are completely useless in the grand scheme of things. Eleanor prepares Merida for the event, forcing her into a too-tight dress and placing an emblem of their kingdom around her neck. Merida does manage to have some of her true self shine through. Once the clans burst into the throne room, the presentation of the suitors begin. Macintosh's suitor is this idiot who thinks that he's the leader of a boy band. MacGuffin has this strong, shy guy who doesn't seem to speak English.
If he was a wee bit closer, I could lob a caber at him, kin.
Finally, Dingwald has this gag where you think he's presenting this mammoth motherfucker, but it's actually this twig man. The other clans insult him, and a fight breaks out. By the way, this fight is backed up with bagpipe music, and that just made it absolutely hilarious to me.
Okay, so we're gonna fight.
I'm just playing bagpipe music. This is top tier comedy, I'm sorry.
Fergus tries stopping them, but ends up joining in the fight. Eleanor has had enough, and she ends the brawl by simply walking through the crowd. Making her husband take a seat, she explains that only the firstborn of each clan can compete for the marriage. They will be competing in a tournament decided by the princess, and Merida excitedly announces archery as the contest to win. At the festival, various fun activities play out before the main event begins. My god, I love bagpipe humor. Fergus and Merida have some playful banter while the three suitors try to hit the target. MacGuffin Boy misses entirely, Macintosh Jerk just misses a bullseye and throws a fit. And finally, after a scare from Fergus, Dingwald Lad hits the target perfectly. Before the celebration can begin, Merida adds herself to the competition, stating that she is firstborn and therefore deserves a chance. After ripping her dress, she hits the first two targets easily. Then, in an awesome slow-mo shot, she splits the third arrow right down the middle. Throwing her into a room, there's a big fight between mother and daughter. Merida claims that Eleanor was never there for her, and is nothing but a beast trying to manipulate her. In anger, she slices the tapestry, and Eleanor snatches Merida's bow and throws it into the fire. Merida runs away in tears, and Eleanor realizes her mistake unfortunately too late. Crying her eyes out, Merida rides Angus far off into the woods, but gets thrown off her horse when he gets spooked by a mystical circle of stones. Curious, the princess begins to follow a trail of wisps as her horse reluctantly follows. The trail ends at a small cottage, which is filled with various wooden bear carvings. An old woman tries to get Merida to buy something, but with superior detective skills, Merida figures out that the woman is a witch. She should have just been able to tell by the fact that she's got a futuristic car sculpture. Being shooed away with knives, Merida offers to buy every carving in exchange for her necklace, as long as she can also get a spell to change her mom. Yeah, dumb move, Merida, that's not very specific. Accepting the deal, the witch explains that she did a similar potion for a prince a long time ago, who wanted to become stronger. She shows her the emblem she got as payment, and begins to make the potion. It comes out looking like a cake, and Merida is somehow teleported back to the stone circle. At home, Merida prepares the cake when Eleanor walks in. The queen was worried for her daughter's safety, but still wants her to make a decision on a suitor. After all, her father can't entertain the lords forever. Merida offers the cake, and when Eleanor takes a bite, she reacts about how I did when I accidentally drank spoiled milk. Feeling sick, she requests that Merida takes her to a room. That doesn't seem to help her condition, since after rolling off the bed, Merida is horrified to find that her mother has somehow turned into a bear. Only seeing the shadow, Eleanor still tries to protect her daughter, but eventually realizes the current situation and freaks out, trashing her bedroom in the process. Merida tells her about the witch's potion and claims that it isn't her fault. Eleanor understandably yells in anger, which alerts Fergus and the lords downstairs to start a bear hunt. Eleanor covers herself with a curtain and puts on her crown, when Merida furiously tries to corral her somewhere safe. She pulls off the curtain, freaking Eleanor out.
You're covered with fur! You're not naked! It's not like anyone's gonna see you!
Maudie runs and tells Fergus what she's seen, and Eleanor runs off to hide in a room where her sons are causing mischief. Merida joins them, once again framing the witch as the guilty one. She convinces the boys to help by offering 1 year of desserts, and they lead the lords on a wild goose chase through the castle. Eventually cornering them on the roof and locking the door. Merida and Eleanor head out, not seeing the boys discover a magical treat. Once they arrive at the cottage, the witch is nowhere to be found. She left a potion answering machine behind, telling Merida that by the second sunrise, the spell can no longer be broken. She leaves only a short explanation of how to break the spell. Fate be changed. Look inside. Mend the bond torn by pride. Frustrated, Merida mixes a bunch of potions together, but that only causes the place to explode. Seemingly out of options until morning, Merida puts together a makeshift shelter to cover from the rain and offers her mother a half-hearted hope. It triggers a flashback of when young Merida was afraid of some thunder, and her mother comforted her by singing, reminding her that she would always be right there. In the morning, Eleanor makes a version of a breakfast table. The berries turn out to be poisonous and the water riddled with worms, so Merida captures some fish and fries it for breakfast. Eleanor is pleased with her daughter's ability, and ends up devouring 3 fish before Merida forces her to catch her own. After the queen removes her crown, the two have a fun montage of playing in the stream and catching fish. The fun is cut short when Eleanor begins acting like a real bear and nearly gutting her daughter. Once the real her comes back, she spots a wisp and begins to frantically chase it. Merida has to carefully calm her mother down, letting them calmly follow the trail through the woods. They arrive at an abandoned and ruined kingdom, a familiar symbol presenting itself. Merida correctly states that it's the kingdom from the legend her mother told her, and falls through the floor into a throne room littered with bones. That's always a good sign. She notices a carving of 4 brothers, one cut from the rest. When she touches it, a flash tells her all she needs to know. Mor'du was the prince from the legend, wanting strength and using a spell from the witch to achieve it. The big man himself even shows up, and I'll give Merida credit, she does try shooting him twice with her bow, but that doesn't harm him in the slightest. She manages to jump to her mother and ride away, but they are once again teleported back to the stones, Eleanor cracking one with her weight. Merida explains what she's learned. The witch told her to mend the bond to break the spell, and all she has to do is stitch up the tapestry she tore to turn her mother back to normal. At the castle, the clans are in an all-out war, angry about the marriage situation. Having no other way to get her mother upstairs, Merida has to stop this fight before they kill each other in another one of my favorite scenes. Using the same method her mother used, simply walking in, Merida gets the attention of the lords. She tells them the legend her mother told her, then uses history to praise each lord for their efforts.
Legends are lessons. They ring with truths.
While her mother sneaks by, Merida admits that she was selfish and begins to announce who she chooses to marry when her mom waives her attention. Taking cues from the queen, Merida says it's time to break tradition and let the suitors marry who they love. Two agree, but the jury's still out on what the MacGuffin boy believes.
Back for the hand of the queen, it doesn't want to nip it yet.
Merida sends the clans to the cellar to celebrate, cheerily reuniting with her mother. In the tapestry room, Eleanor turns into her bear sona again, right as Fergus finds his destroyed wife's bedroom. Running to check on his daughter, he finds the bear and shoves Merida out of the way, ignoring the princess's pleas to stop. He attacks the bear, getting completely wrecked in the process. Merida gets scratched before her mom wakes up, and, seeing the harm she can cause, Eleanor flees. Unfortunately, she runs into the lords, and all the clans chase her into the woods, weapons in hand. Fergus doesn't believe Merida's story and locks her in her room, giving Maudie the key and riding off after the bear. Merida finds her brothers, now in bear form, and sends them after Maudie, who hides the key in her cleavage. The boys successfully corner her in the kitchen, one boy getting the time of his life, and unlock their sister from confinement. The 4 ride off on Angus, Merida somehow able to sew while riding off after her mother. The clans surround Eleanor at the stone circle, tying her up. Merida follows a trail of wisps to the mayhem, not noticing an old foe following her. When she gets there, she shoots her father's sword out of his hand, valiantly defending her mother. When she's cornered again, she even begins to sword fight with Fergus, only managing to convince him when the boys make their presence known. Mor'du shows up, and the clans get their asses collectively kicked. Merida tries her best, but still, her bow does no damage. With her daughter in danger, Eleanor breaks free of the ropes and fights the predator. Look, you never want to mess with a mama bear. There's a lengthy fight scene, and Eleanor eventually uses Mor'du's weight to crack a stone, crushing him underneath it. His soul is released, nodding in thanks before turning into a wisp.
It's Jesus.
Yeah. The sunrise begins, and Merida drapes the tapestry over her mother. Eleanor's eyes go dark, and Merida breaks into tears. Here, she apologizes for her actions, admits it was her fault, and says how she was always there for her, and tells her mother she loves her. Thank you! Take notes, Ariel, your stupid apology doesn't work here.
Daddy, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Once the sunlight reaches the stitches, Eleanor turns human once again, and she kisses her daughter. Fergus joins in, and Merida lets her mother know about her clothing situation.
I'm naked as a wee baby. Don't just stare at me.
Sometime later, Eleanor is sporting a new look, a new cheery attitude, and finishes a new tapestry. Waving the clans goodbye, the boys manage to stow away on a ship, forcing Fergus to row out to retrieve them. A final narration plays as Merida and Eleanor ride off on horseback, with the princess reminding us that anyone can change their fate if you're brave enough to see it. Was that really so bad? I didn't think so. Here, I'll show you what I mean when we jump into... Category 1, Best Princess. Let me make my case, okay? I really like Merida. She's nowhere near the best princess, but she's pretty great compared to what most people say about her. She starts out sort of bratty, but at least the problem she's complaining about is a reasonable one. You can counter outbursts as teenager syndrome. Yeah, that doesn't excuse it, but it makes her more realistic. Teenagers are mean, and they constantly talk back to their parents. Hell, I probably told my parents that I hated them at least once when I was going through that phase. But you know what? I learned what I was doing wrong. I learned to appreciate my parents for all they do for me, just like Merida does here. It's almost like that's the point of a character arc. She's a brat who wants something, she makes a mistake, she learns from her mistake, apologizes for the mistake, and gains a friend she never knew she needed. When it comes to her father and brother, she's very close. Throughout the story, she bonds with her mother to become close to her as well. She's clever, especially when it comes to entering that marriage competition. She's determined and very skilled in fighting. I know a lot of people complain that she doesn't use her bow enough to fight or whatever, but I honestly saw the archery thing as more of a hobby, not her whole personality. Kind of like Rapunzel's painting obsession. And hey, she does try her best when it comes to fighting Mor'du, but when her bow does nothing, what else do you expect of her? The scene where she disarms her father is awesome. Just look at that skill. Yeah, Merida's a pretty awesome princess, but the rest of her personality I will talk about in the best side characters and best movie section. For now, to place her. Like I mentioned before, she does make a really big mistake that impacted a lot of people, so that reduces some points. However, her realization of the mistake, her apology, and effort to rectify it brings some points back. I'd have to put her below Belle for being the jerk for a while, but above Jasmine, since we really don't understand why exactly Jasmine hates her palace life. At least with Merida we get a better view into that. Number 6 for her. Category 2, Best Love Interest.
Suitors. Marriage.
Category 3, Best Side Characters. The witch was pretty weird. I liked her design and the bear obsession, but I wish they'd toned down on her comedy bits. The mystical part of her was good enough. The wisps are perfect for the setting. They are simultaneously cute and creepy with their little whispers. The clans? Pff, no one cares. Pointless that we spent so much time with them. Alright, it did give us the bagpipe gags, so I'll let it slide. Maudie? I think she's pretty funny, and her screams were pretty fun to put Gangster's Paradise over. The brothers are fun, and I'm glad they didn't hog the screen more than they needed to. Fergus is great, another good father figure, although he does appear to be a bit too dumb to be king. Then again, that speech Merida gave tells the story of the kingdom, and it tells a different tale. Finally, Eleanor. Yes. Do you ever notice how there are almost no kids' movies that deal with a mother-daughter relationship? It's so weird. Eleanor being so prim and proper and then being forced to take violent action is a perfect way to complete her character arc. That practice talk she does highlights her demeanor, wanting the best for her daughter, but not realizing why Merida wants what she wants. She's very practical, yet a kind mother. To place these guys, the clans and the witch bring it down below the spectacular dwarves, but at least the lords don't break out into a stupid song number. Number 6. Category 4, Best Villain. I guess it's not really fair to Mor'du to put him in this category, since he's not a main character like the rest. He doesn't even speak, he's just an angry bear. His design is cool, and at least he's pretty scary. I like the way his backstory and the legend weave together to help Merida break the spell, and his death tells the origin of the wisps, and completes Eleanor's arc. Due to lack of humanness, I guess, he'll go below Shan Yu, but above Ratcliffe, because racists don't win any awards. Number 10 for the bear. Category 5, Best Princess Song.
Hey, Snow's cheating. She says she doesn't count background songs that the characters don't sing on screen.
Shut up, this is my show, my rules. Touch the Sky is obviously Merida's number. Even though she's the only princess not to sing in her movie, unless Raya is added, I love this song. Very beautiful, lovely shots of Scotland, and it highlights Merida's skills and determination. Placing it, it's catchier than Reflection, but the love of Eugene and Rapunzel outweigh its beauty. It goes at number 5. Category 6, Best Villain Song. I mean, there's kind of a song about Mor'du that Fergus sings, but it's more of a gag and shouldn't count here. Mostly because I think Prince Ali Reprise is overrated and I want to keep it at the bottom. Fight me.
We'll expect your declarations of war in the morning.
Category 7, Best Side Character Song. Wow, you never realize how much you miss musicals until there's no songs to rank. Category 8, Best Believable Romance.
I won't go through with it. You can't make me.
Merida.
Category 9, Best Animation. Of course it's going over Rapunzel. Pixar is the king of 3D animation. You already knew that the animation was better, so number 1. Although, since you're here, Pixar released an animation bug video, and it's one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
And I see you for what you could become.
And you're a beast.
Category 10, Best Movie. I like this movie a lot, and I know some of you won't ever be convinced. That being said, let me just quickly list the common reasons why I think people hate this movie. Number 1, the opening. The opening to the movie makes it seem a lot more like a fantasy epic than a family drama. I wish it would have started with Merida's narration, since that matches the tone much better. Number 2, the studio. Pixar is known for their unconventional stories that push the boundaries of children's entertainment. With this story, it's very old Disney-esque. People got turned off expecting more from the studio. Here's my rebuttal. I don't care. I don't care if this was made by some guy in his basement or by DreamWorks, or by my unmotivated ass. I judge the movie on itself. Number 3, the similar story. People complain that this movie tells a story we have heard before. A princess who doesn't want to live in royalty, who's a warrior with battle skills, pressured into a marriage she doesn't want, refusing to marry someone she doesn't love, and makes a deal with a witch to achieve their goals. And I guess they copied the movie Brother Bear, but I never saw that movie, so... But I don't care if a story has been done before. I care what new they add to it. In this movie, they add a lot. First with the mother-daughter thing, next with two sides bickering and both having good points, and mostly with a proper lesson learned. And if you're gonna hate on a story that's been done before, basically any Disney movie is a retelling of fairy tales told hundreds of years ago. Are you gonna hate the Disney Sleeping Beauty just because it's around the 50th adaptation of it? No. And finally, the argument I hear the most. Number 4, the marketing. Everyone says how Brave was a letdown, a disappointment, a wasted opportunity.
More specifically, I mourn for what this movie could have been. I mean, look at this trailer.
That is accurate. Brave is the most disappointing compared to initial expectation.
And what did I think of the film when it finally premiered? The marketing also shows our main character constantly holding a bow and arrow, like she's adventurous and she gets stuff done, a real badass. That is not the case.
There's this excellent video by Licorice, I think, that I promoted a while back. It details everything that's wrong with this movie in excruciating detail. Whatever, this movie blows.
The marketing showed little information with a mystical scenery and a princess holding a bow. It kind of looked like a new Lord of the Rings or something. When it came out, conventional Disney princess story. My rebuttal? I never saw any promotional stuff when this movie came out. I was probably 11 and my parents just said, "Hey, you want to go see the new Disney Pixar movie?" And I was like, okay, sure. And I didn't have cable TV, so I never saw any trailers. I wasn't as much of a Disney nut back then either. So yeah, I just walked into the theater, saw the movie, and thought, yeah, that was good. In fact, after hearing all the trailer fiasco with this movie, I purposely avoided all trailers when it came to Raya and the Last Dragon, and that probably heightened my experience of that movie. Screw watching trailers anymore. So that's addressing the main issues here. Now, onto what I like. This is a story about listening, a story about understanding your family. I appreciate that they took away Eleanor's ability to speak. She was forced to silently watch Merida perform her heroic tasks, and she realized that her lessons to her daughter did actually sink in. Merida has to learn to be diplomatic and fair, and Eleanor has to learn to be violent when needed. The tapestry is a perfect way to illustrate the turmoil. The scenery, the story, the bond, it's lovely. Ranking it, I think the story is more tightly woven than Tiana's tale, Fight Me.
We'll expect your declarations of war in the morning.
But I think Mulan's warrior abilities are better than Merida's. Brave goes at number 5. Thanks for coming to the review. Before I get to work on Moana, I want to let you know about a long video that I'm working on. It will be a full analysis of The Little Mermaid, a closer look at Ariel's character. Serious, not like over-exaggerating, because I over-exaggerate how much I hate her, it's a joke. The second part of the video will do the same thing with Brave and Merida. Finally, I'll compare and contrast the two, giving my unpopular opinion on how Merida is the perfect version of Ariel's story.
We'll expect your declarations of war in the morning.
It'll probably be around an hour long, and I don't have a set date on it yet. Maybe after the Moana review, but then again, Raya might push my completion back by another month. Regardless, I can't wait to finish this series and go to bed. Good night, everybody.